and post-Keynesian, the followers of Keynes. So post-Keynesians claim to be the true followers because they actually read the general theory and try to understand what Keynes actually wrote, rather than people like Krugman, who use the name but either don't try hard enough or for some reason can't understand what Keynes actually wrote. So those are the traditions I work in and work on. Mostly money and banking, financial institutions, and I suppose that Stephanie Kelton talked about modern money theory, that
Yes.
a handful of us have developed that over the past 20 years. So that's an area. I was a student of Hyman Minsky. When the global financial crisis hit, uh, s- several prominent people, including Krugman, called it a Minsky crisis. So Minsky was sort of the father of the global financial crisis, and not in the sense that he caused it, but in the
Right.
sense that he warned that it was coming. And he developed a theory of crises. And
Crises management, right? Is that what you're
well, not
saying?
well.
Or
Hopefully
response or
you can you can postpone them. He
mm-hmm.
wouldn't say that you could ever get rid of them,
Mm-hmm.
but you could postpone them, and you could make them less worse than they otherwise would be by putting in place the proper institutional constraints. So I talked about the invisible hand, and so mainstream economics sees the market as stabilizing. Minsky argued exactly the reverse. The market itself is unstable. You need stabilizing institutions. A lot of those come from government regulations, rules, supervision of financial institutions, and so on. And some of them come from the private sector itself. But it's the institutions that constrain. So actually, the market left to its own devices would be extremely unstable. Nobody would tolerate it. You could not have a market based economy if you let the market do its own thing. You have to constrain that instability with the institutions. So it turns the whole mainstream argument on its head. And after the crisis, a lot of people have looked at his work. I just published a book, Why Minsky Matters, with Princeton, that tries to describe in very simple terms the Minskyan view of this. And uh, a number of people have really tried to seriously understand this, and it is, I think, having some impact on the way that we're moving forward. Now, it had no impact on policymaking in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
They basically patted Wall Street on its behind and said, "Go back to doing what you've been doing because you do such a great job." But there are people now who understand and who are, I think, warning about the next crisis, which could be pretty soon.